And good afternoon. Welcome to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. Good afternoon and welcome to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It is Thursday, and you know what we do on Thursday? We do Success 101. We do our success show. We try to highlight a young companion every single Thursday, and today is no different. So thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. And you know, it is the end of the week for me at Straight Talk because you know we only do Monday through Thursday, but I know you have one more day, so hold on, it's coming. Don't worry, it's gonna come. And make sure that you enjoy paradise that we are so blessed to have. As I've said, we will be off after today for a month. We're taking a month hiatus off for just to take a little relaxation, relax yourself, and allow you to do your staycation and all that stuff. Because I know some people are planning to just take a break with the children and the family and enjoy their summer. You know, so be safe, take care of yourself. We will be back September the 6th. So today will be the last day of Straight Talk, just to let you know. In the month of August, we'll be taking a little break. So if you wondered where we were, that's where we were. Okay, so tell your friends and make sure September the 6th, you are back with us bright and early at 5 o'clock p.m. Okay, so that might be late for some, but that's the time that we'll be on. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. It is 9433700. If you did want to call the last show of I don't know if we call it a season or what we call it, but the last show, I'd love to hear from you guys if you had something on your mind. This afternoon, of course, I am joined by a wonderful young Canadian that I just wanted to bring on and highlight this afternoon. So, you know, this is no different than any other Thursday. This is your Success 101 show. Lauren Bodden, good afternoon. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm just very excited about sharing your story. I'm sure those of us that have looked in the paper, we've seen your name all over the place. You've been all over the place for actually a few years. Yeah, your name has been popping up. Now, one of the reasons, and not the only reason, but one of the reasons that we did bring you on now is because you are actually the restaurant manager at is it Granville House?
Yes, ma'am.
Granville House, 25. You're 25.
Yes, ma'am.
25 years old, and you are the restaurant manager at Granville House. And we know Granville House is fine dining. I mean, if this was not a success story, I asked myself, what is? How do you feel?
I feel great, honestly. It was actually in my plan when I decided to study hospitality at 19. I said I would like to be managing by the age of 25. So
Wow.
when the opportunity came, I was like, wow, look at God.
Yeah.
Look at God. So yeah. I'm blessed and I'm happy to be put in this position, learning more and more every day.
Yeah. Well, let's share a little bit of your background. So you actually have a hospitality certificate from UCCI. Is that an associate's degree? So let's talk about your background, because I know you did the whole year plan and all that stuff. So bring us up to speed with your background.
Okay, so my experience with hospitality actually started out in sci-fi. So I'm going to be honest with the listeners. I actually had no idea what hospitality was when I decided to pick hospitality at sci-fi. So it was completely new to me, and it piqued my interest. I became curious, and I think what really stood out for me is the fact that it's such a interactive and a people's person type of industry. And from I was young, I always liked to be at every social event and every little party going on. So it was an industry made for me personally.
It's a natural fit.
Natural fit, as like I said, yes, better word.
All right.
And so I did I did it in sci-fi, and I wanted more. So I ended up going to the first year of the School of Hospitality at UCCI.
Okay.
I enjoyed it so much. Just a little background. Before that whole summer before I did that program It was a summer of not doing anything.
Okay.
So it was a point where I was literally frustrated of not doing anything.
Okay. All right.
So when I got to the school of hospitality, I told myself I wasn't going to waste my time there, and I was going to really dive into it.
Okay.
And it paid off.
Yeah.
I ended up being the top student, top performer in the program for that 1 year. I made a lot of connections with a lot of industry people. I made my connection with Randall House in that time period as well.
Right, because you were interning there or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All
I
right.
was actually both interning at the Ritz and Randall House
Okay.
because my idea was I wanted to learn from the best.
Right.
And the Ritz Carlton has that brand.
Absolutely.
They are good at what they do,
Yeah.
and I think good is an understatement. They really believe in customer service, and I really enjoyed that culture.
And now you get to bring it to the Grand Old House.
Precisely,
Yeah.
precisely. One of the reasons why I decided to stay with Randall House is I had a very, very good mentor from the get-go. I'd really like to give him a shout out, Luciano DeRiso. From I got there 2 days in, he was like, "I want to hire you," and that might just sound like someone saying, "Yeah, they want to hire you," but to me, at that point, it was like, "I want to invest in you. I
Right.
like what you have," and that was just like someone that demonstrated belief in you from the get-go. I was 2 days and 2 days in the job, and he said he wanted to hire me, and that was that breathed life into me. And I want that when you have that kind of support, you kind of want to give it your all, and that was the approach I took.
Right.
So while studying, while working at the Grand House, I decided that I didn't want to just work in this industry without getting the theory as well. So practical is extremely important in this industry.
Right.
Don't get it twisted, but it pays to have the theory and understanding the formula as to why you're doing the things you do on the job. So I enrolled in the associate's degree at UCCI for the
Okay.
hospitality management, and I did that in 3 years. I I took a gap year. I worked full time at Grand House and the Wharf. They're actually the same ownership, just in
Okay.
case anyone didn't know. And
And that's a new
having
thing. Is that new? That they.
that was
Yeah.
2018,
Okay.
2018.
All right.
So very recent. It was so nice to get two different experiences.
Right.
At the Wharf, you're dealing with more of fast pace, more like a outgoing kind of, the salsa nights, the boogie night. It's a different
Yeah. A little more
different crowd.
casual. You
Yeah,
think? Yeah.
I'd say, but definitely still high standards.
Absolutely.
And it was so nice to get that little variety into my resume.
Right.
I'd say. So just to not to stay too much on that. After that gap year, I got accepted at Johnson and Wales. I decided I wanted to go to North Miami for one reason, and
Okay.
I prefer being close to home just in case of anything with
Right.
family. And surprisingly, something happened. COVID happened, so my that gut feeling kind of helped me this time around. So my college experience was cut down short to 9 months, but I'm still in school. I'm working full time, school full time, and I'm should be done the end of August. So.
Okay. All right. Well, it's funny, right, that you say that because so you graduate with your associate's degree and then you say, I'm going to get my bachelor's.
Yes.
So kind of one thing led to the other, right? So SciTech, you started, the bug kind of bit you.
Yeah.
Then you did the certificate program for the year. Then you went on, did the associates at UCCI, and then you went on to do your bachelor's, and which is, you're getting ready to complete. And what's funny when you say, about COVID and you chose North Miami and it was 9 months. It almost like it worked out in a way though, because you would have had to have been gone a lot longer, right?
Precisely.
So I'm sure the Grand Old House is quite happy.
Us both.
Yeah.
We both. Yes.
So they were supporting you through the whole thing. I read somewhere that you received a grant from Spice Company, McCormick and Company to further your studies. Now tell me
Yes.
about that.
Yes, big shout out to McCormick. They provided me with a grant of $5,000 that went towards my education. They were
How'd you
amazing
get
in
that?
that process.
How did you even know about that? And like, tell us about that.
Honestly, I swear to you, I have very, very good mentors in my life. So another shout out to Ms. Donette Goodard at UCCI. She really helped find funding for me when I was looking towards going away.
Okay.
So McCormick actually reached out to UCCI because they wanted to. They heard about the hospitality program, and they wanted to see how they could invest into young Caymanians coming into food and beverage specifically, because it's a spice company, so
How
they
are they
wanted to.
connected to us in Cayman? Who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they're
like,
they're already here. They're right in the.
wow,
So they
that
yeah.
is great.
Yeah, so that was huge, and I must thank Ms. Donat.
Yeah,
That was
I always tell people that, young people especially, and parents, I tell them, don't let money be the thing that stops you. Like, just first have it in your mind, just want it. If you can kind of figure out what your goal is and you want it, then we find the money. Like,
yeah,
honestly, like, just like you said, the mentors, the people that are in your life, like, you just position yourself. And like you said, God is good.
God is good
He
all
shows
the
up. He
time.
shows up and shows out when you show up.
He does. He does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you got that, and then you went on now to Johnson and Wales, and you're going to be completing that when? When did you say?
The end of August, August 21st. I'm counting the days. It's been a brutal semester, but
Yeah,
it's going well.
and it's online, right?
Online, yes.
Yeah,
On I'm people person, so I do prefer the classroom. So
yeah,
online has been challenging for me, but I finally got the hang of it.
yeah.
So
So how are you able to juggle? Uh, is it full-time work, full-time
full time
restaurant
work,
management, and online school? So you're going to school full-time as well?
yes, ma'am.
How are you managing all of that? How did you manage? Well, I mean, of course, you managed it, but tell us how that works.
Time management and discipline.
Yeah.
It's long nights, late nights. I remember recently, it was 2 weeks ago, I had a project I had just finished before I was going into my shift, and I unfortunately, for whatever reason, the document got lost.
Right.
I couldn't find it on my OneDrive. I couldn't find it on anything. I lost it completely. Spent the whole week doing it. I came home. I went to work. It was a busy night, so without discipline and perseverance, I wouldn't have got that on the due date. And
Because you had to do it again.
yeah, I had to do the whole thing. Luckily,
Right.
it was fresh.
Yeah.
It was fresh. It just took me a good 3 hours. I finished at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was falling asleep behind my laptop, but it
Good
was.
stuff. Yeah. But you know what I'm hearing in the story though, and I'm looking at you. I'm looking at a 25-year-old young man who's interned at the Grand Old House at 19, and who now at 25 will have his bachelor's degree in hospitality management.
Yes, ma'am.
So you know what? Like honestly, that is exactly kind of the ingredients for success, right? It takes action, it takes late nights, it takes perseverance, and now you can breathe. After
Yeah.
after that date in August, you can breathe a sigh of relief and say, I've got this thing, it's under my belt, I have the theory, I have the practical, and I'm just soaring. And you're able to even enjoy the fruit of your labor at the same time as a restaurant manager of the Grand Old House. And I also have this to say, I noticed that you all are trying to pull on some local people as well, because I've been training some of them at WORC. And I hope that they see you and they hear your story and they see what it takes to really succeed, because it's not a quick thing.
No.
It's not, Lawrence is the restaurant manager, I can do it too. Lawrence is a restaurant manager, but at 19, 6 years ago, he was a server. You know what I
I was
mean?
a
He was an
buster.
intern.
I
He
was
was
a
a
buster. I was a
busser.
food runner. I
Exactly.
was bar back.
Exactly. Exactly. So and so that means that you have all of those duties under your belt. That if something is, somebody doesn't show up, you
I
can
can
go
do
ahead and
it.
do that. Because I've seen you in action as well.
Okay.
And I saw you New Year's Eve, and that was probably one of the busiest nights.
Yes.
With some of the, kind of casinos. It was just
Yes. Yes.
beautiful. It was lovely. My son was a part of. He was
I do
yeah,
remember
yeah,
now.
of
Yes.
course.
Yes.
And I saw you in action, and I was like, wow. I remember this young man. I don't know if you remember, but you were a guest speaker at SciFec a SciTech graduation.
Yes.
They called you in, and I want you to share that story with the audience as well. That I heard you share in your speech. You talked about being an avid footballer, and this would have been what 2016.
2016. Yeah, it's a little while
So
back, you
this
know.
was this was before your grand old house thing, wasn't it?
This was while I was at Granville House. This is my first year in Granville House.
All right. So talk to us about that.
So this experience, that was my first time doing public speaking. So
You did
hopefully,
great too, by the way. No, you did great. Because I remember the story. I was very inspired. Yeah.
thank
So
you.
go ahead. I had done a lot of work with SciTech. I used to do a lot of work with the young people in assemblies, and so I was there that night to give out awards, and you were the guest speaker speaking. So yeah, I definitely remember it. So please share that story.
So that story goes. I'd like to say like it started at the age of 13. I decided yeah, I want to be a professional football player.
Right.
So I had to take a good look at myself, and at that time I was not fit. I was a little bit overweight,
Yeah, you were. You were a little bit,
a little chunky.
little chunkier. Yeah.
And I
Now
told
you can say
myself, yeah,
it.
no, it's true. And I told myself, all right, I haven't seen a great professional football player that is out of shape.
Okay.
So that year I took it upon myself. It was a summer, and I said, you know what, you're gonna get fit.
Good.
And I dedicated that whole summer to fitness and technique and working on my ball skills, and it paid off. It was that summer. The next 2 years afterwards, I got scouted for football.
Okay.
So yeah, I was like, I made a dream at 19 to be a hospital manager.
Right.
At that time, that was my kid dream. I wanted to be a professional football player.
Yeah.
So you imagine, I got scouted at 16, and I was so ready to go.
Right.
It was a month before I was going off. I actually got three opportunities. So I was supposed to be going to Italy, a team named Udinese, and I had an opportunity in England with another club. They're quite famous on Ireland, actually, Swindon.
Okay.
They took a couple of players from here in that time period as well.
So you'd say you were that good.
I'd like to say. I'd like
It's
to say.
okay. Come on, toot your own horn. It's your story. I'm just trying to, help you beef it up.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So you were that good. You got
Yes,
scouted. You had some options.
Had quite a few options, and I was, like I said, I was excited. Unfortunately, I played in a friendly tournament at the Annex. It was an SOY tournament, and having a great time as usual playing football. And,
Right.
Young guy, he put his knee to my back,
Wow.
similar to the Neymar injury a couple World Cups ago. And yeah, I didn't have the same doctors as Neymar, so that took me out of football for a whole year. It actually put me down a really sad path, I'd like to say, because
Yeah.
when you're so close and then just disappears,
It
just like
shattered
that.
your dreams, huh?
Yeah, and it was a terrible
Experience.
place to be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that experience actually led me a lot closer to God, I'd like to say, because I've always been in the church, but I never really found the true reason why I should be until after.
Yeah.
And I like to say that experience, it led me to a good place. And I kind of found purpose after life without football. Still in football.
Yeah.
I'm still currently trying to get back my old club, Tiger Sports Club, back in the league, back up to Premier League. So so I'm kind of fast forwarding, but yeah, that occurred. I lost the opportunity to play ball, but it kind of shows you how God works as well, because I worked diligently that whole year doing my chiropractic, doing my physiotherapy every day, and
To get back to health.
but yeah, I was so motivated because I still thought I could have done it.
Yeah.
And I was just praying every day praying, just doing my exercises, and I got to a point where I could play again, and I was happy. My best friend Barry wanted to go away that summer to a team in Honduras. His parents wouldn't have let him go on loan, so we had a good friend that used to coach, like he helped coach us, mentor us when we were younger,
Right.
living in Saiba at the time, and He told us he'll take us over there. He'll house us while we're over there, while we train in Victoria. And they wanted to sign me. You know, so
Wow.
it was like a situation where I thought I lost it.
Came back. It was,
Opportunity
oh
came back.
wow. Okay. So what happened?
So like that's what I said. Like it was at that point where, like I said, I had a rough year that year, and I
Yeah.
didn't do too well in school because of the
Right.
that trauma. Before I left, I made a promise to them. I gave my parents my word that I would come back and
Okay.
I would do
You're gonna
my
finish school.
best in school. That was
Okay.
before I left.
Okay.
You know, the opportunity came and it was like you could go pro, and I was like,
Oh my.
but
So you were
I
between what am I gonna do? Am I gonna keep my promise? Or wow.
yeah, it was a weird place to be, but
Yeah.
I do believe I made the right decision because I recognized that it didn't really matter what I did in the future. I just wanted to do my best, and I wanted to be the best in whatever I decided to do.
Right.
So it was more. I love football, so I wanted to be the best at football.
Yeah.
I still love football to this day,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily my dream to be pro, to go pro anymore.
So do you think that year kind of helped you put things in perspective more that what you thought you wanted as a
Absolutely.
younger boy with the growth of it? I almost feel like, when something happens that just like that and something can be taken away, like you start thinking, you know what? That's not life is like that. So what am I going to grasp on? You know what I mean? What am I going to hold on to versus this thing that I think I want? And then you kind of figure out maybe it's not exactly what I want. You think so?
That is, that sounds spot on what
Yeah.
I experienced. It was just like God showed me what I could achieve,
Right.
and I used the same drive I had with football, and I put it into hospitality,
Yeah.
and I put it into my studies and how I interact with the people I meet on a day-to-day basis. So that was a
Wow.
godsend. I
So
said
you came back home. So it was like a turning point for your life. So when you came back home, then you were like, I'm focused on my academics.
that's when I went to Cyprus. That's when I was introduced to hospitality over there, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's where that story ends up kicking in. It was just
Yeah.
a uh, trial and error, and yeah, I think I passed so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I think that's it. That's so interesting now. And you were also talking about you're getting back into football. So what are
So
you doing right now? So football is still there. The
football's
love
still
is
there,
still there, but
absolutely.
it's like a balance. It's a balanced guy more, right?
Yes.
So what are you doing with football now?
So we're starting back my sports team. I'm a one club man. I played with Tiger Sports Club my entire life.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I really want to see them get back in the league and get the silverware. We've come too many times so close,
Okay.
but yet achieve. So and I really like the idea of being that underdog in the story. You know, just keep going, and I'm enjoying the time I'm playing with the players that I played from I was 11, 12 years old. Imagine the friendships lasted all
Yeah.
the way till now. So it's super amazing to be playing with them, and not to just be playing with them, but to be actually in the midst of organizing and being like on a board with these same players that you just played with. Now we're actually doing grown-up things and
They're
not just playing.
Yeah, so you're grown up. So but does that involve you like going overseas and playing? Does it involve you playing on the level that you were playing before?
Well, you know, the dream is to eventually be able to play in the CFU,
Okay. What is that?
The Caribbean Federation.
Okay.
I don't know what the U stand for, but Caribbean Federation is like a cup, and we want to be competing at the best we can. Maybe not for our age group, but we would like that for the ones that are coming up
Okay.
that could play at that level. So we want the club to get large enough to be able to fund and compete at that level. It's not just a club; it's more than a club. It's a mentorship program, things that we learned a lot about life playing football. You know, Ronaldinho always says that quote, and And it really stood out to me from a young age that I learned all about life with a ball at my feet. And football has really taught me a lot about life. So I feel like it can help a lot of young people coming up as well, if done correctly.
Yeah.
If done correctly with management, not just without control.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's one of the next goals I'm setting now.
Okay. So during that year that you were kind of out of it, what were some of the things that was kind of going through your mind? So before you answer that, I want to say um, what I heard from Laurent Bodden, who you're listening to this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. He's my guest for Success 101 on a Thursday show where I highlight young Canadians. Bodden, he is a restaurant manager at the Grand Old House. He's been there for 6 years, started when he was 19 as a busser, worked his way up to serving, and now he actually is a restaurant manager. Thank you, I think, for joining me this afternoon. This is your Straight Talk Private Pod show. Uh, I just want to kind of look at some of the things that you learned during that period of your life, right? But what I heard was that you, even at that age, at a young age, you set a goal for yourself and you were able to achieve the goal. I was just talking today, I was teaching a class today over at WOC about positioning yourself for success and goal planning. And that was some of the things that I said. Like goals are, or dreams are goals in action, and action is the prescription for success, things like that. But it's like you got to see it first, you got to want it first, and then you start to put it into action. And so, even at the young age that you were, you said, I want to do this, and then it happened because you worked towards it. Yeah. So that means that you kind of had that discipline, even though you might not think you had it. It seemed like you had it for a long time, right? Where
Maybe
you,
so.
yeah, where you put things in your mind and you say, this is what I'm going to do. So before I go to break, just tell me, what was going through your mind during that year, though? What are some of the things that you were going through until you finally kind of came to that acceptance?
All was going through my mind was I could still do it.
Okay.
I could still do it. It was it was some days where it felt like it was impossible. I used to walk with a hunched back, so it was days that I was in more pain than I felt good. So it was just there's more to this.
Yeah.
It's not the end of my story. So
Yeah.
that was my mindset, and yeah, I didn't. It wasn't until years after that I realized how even though I had positive thoughts, it was a slight depression
Okay.
personally for me that year.
Okay.
So it wasn't until years after where I realized, oh, that was a time where I kind of was like, not myself.
Right.
Not myself. So,
Yeah. Well, it seemed like a dark period, but what it also seemed though is your your desire to get back was what brought you back.
yes.
So you know what I mean? Like you had a desire to get back. So you that was your goal. That was your end focus. So you weren't focused on, oh, poor me, what's I'm not gonna get back. You were like, nope, I'm not even thinking about that. So even though it might have been, like you said, a depression, you were able to still pull yourself through that because you were saying, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And then when you actually got back, you were like, I don't really want this. Which is great, right?
Because I made a decision on my own.
Right. And you actually did what you said you were going to do, which is get back to that. And then you were able to say, well, maybe this is not exactly what I wanted. Right. And I think that we all have it in us. And we all have to find it in us. We all have to hold on to it. And if we have people in our lives that kind of don't feel that way, that we hold on to them and try to help show them that they have it inside. So I love that also, that story. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with more. So stay tuned. This is your Straight Talk Drive at 5 show, and we are talking to Lauren Bodden. He's a restaurant manager, 25-year-old restaurant manager at the Grand Old House, and we got more to share, so don't go anywhere. Open 943-3700.
Introducing the Burger King Stacker, our signature flame grilled patties, topped with smoked bacon, melted cheese, and best of all, a brand new sweet and tangy stacker sauce. Stack it in single, double, triple, or quadruple. Discover the BK sauce that's changing the game. Only for a limited time on Burger King. Welcome back to Straight Talk.
And welcome back to Straight Talk. This is your Driver 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. It is Thursday, and it is Success 101. This is the day that we highlight our great, lovely, amazing young Canadians that are out there doing great things. And this afternoon is different. I have Mr. Laurent Bodden in studio with me, and he is the restaurant manager over at the Grand Old House. And I'm just excited to always say that, he's 25-year-old restaurant manager at Grand Old House. Started, bussing, doing all that, and, it pays off. It does. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, Lauren. Say hello to people. Hello.
Hello, people.
Okay, so I'm going to read just a little bit. Laurent Bodden, passionate young professional, been working in the hospitality industry for 7 to 8 years, ranging in water sports, retail, events, housekeeping, and restaurants. So we have a whole host of things we've done. The area he's found the most interest thus far has been restaurants where he's worked in for almost six years cumulatively to this date. Laurent loves wine, food, and understanding how food and beverage fit so well together. The reason why Laurent enjoys the restaurant sector so much is because every day is a new day with so much variety. He loves the finesse, but also the intensity of the restaurant business. Before Laurent found his footing in the hospitality industry, he was all about football. As you all would have heard before we took the break, Laurent was a promising football athlete throughout high school. He was the captain of his team, Tigers, and with Tigers FC, and was even scouted at 16. Unfortunately, he never got to make his dream come true due to a rash tackle. A month prior to his trials in England, Laurent was sidelined for a year without football, which devastated him, but also motivated him to use his energy from football into something else. This brought him to hospitality, and the rest is still being written. I like that. I like that, Laurent. Laurent is now currently managing the restaurant he always says he grew up in, the Grand Old House. He loves the restaurant, is truly honored and humbled to be leading his current team. He's currently working on bringing his boyhood team back into the league, so because football is still around, as they fell apart in the last 2 years. Tigers FC was the only team Laurent has played with his entire football career. Loyalty, extremely important, and it's one of his values that has helped get him thus far. I'm going to read now a little bit about some of your accolades. Okay, so you were, awarded just in April. You were honored with a recent Graduate Alumni Award from UCCI, the University College of the Cayman Islands.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. You were a top student receiving such recognition as the Minister's Award, the Food and Beverage Award, and the Rotation Award. And in May, he was named, you became the manager, right, most recently at Grand Old House. And in 2019, you were awarded the Restaurant Employee of the Year from the Stingray Awards. So, I mean, this is nothing to snuff at, Lauren, for sure. Okay, so congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is just showing you that, hard work pays off. Now, your employers at Grand Old House had this to say, Lauren, this has been a revelation for us at the Grand Old House in New York. He started as a trainee from the UCCI tourism program, and he's become a great ambassador for our services. He's held a full-time position with us since he started as a trainee, and he's been humble, hardworking, incredibly personable. At such a young age, he's been able to perform under very stressful situations and be able to learn and copy with all sorts of pressure. He's the best example that Cayman has to offer in regards to youth gaining employment in the biggest economy of the island. He's continuing his studies abroad, and he will come back and manage our restaurant. Now, they said that when you were basically just starting out, and now here you are, on this island, and managing this restaurant. I mean, that must make you feel proud that they're saying that about you, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. That when I read that the first time, I was like, I knew they believed in me, but had I known that, it was amazing to hear that. So that even motivated me even more. I like to say,
Yeah.
on the days that it's harder than it is easy, kept me focused and determined to do more.
Yeah. And you will be getting your bachelor's degree
Yes,
from Johnson and Wales, and you're at the North Miami campus in Florida,
yes,
and you'll
sir.
be getting that in August.
End of August, counting the days.
Yeah, yeah, because then you can a sigh of relief. You can just,
Yes,
just
yes.
make a sigh of relief there. So yeah, I mean, now what are some of the things that you would want to impart, on your young Canadian, people that are interested in anything really? I mean, this industry, yes, also, but just overall when it comes to hard work kind of paying off. What would you say to them, as well as the families? Because we have parents that are driving along that have young, people in their lives that they need to, kind of help talk with about what's next. What would you tell them?
One of the most important things I had to come to realize very young was you're not running the same race as the person next to you. The only person you're running against is who you were yesterday and who you are today. And once you realize that, it doesn't matter what you decide to study, what you decide to do, you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for God, and you're gonna do it to the best of your ability because you don't want to let yourself down and you don't want to let God down. So decide what you want for yourself and don't don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like everyone, yes, you must apply a little bit at times, but know that there's people that have failed and still decided to get up each and every day. And doesn't matter how much times you fall down, just keep swimming. Like Dory would say from Finding Nemo, just keep swimming and keep going. It's gonna get better
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Now, you talk a lot about God, and so, I see also in your bio, and I'll read that also, about you, being a member of King Islands Baptist Church, and being a Christian. And you mentioned some mission trips to Cuba. You want to talk to us a little bit about that? Because I mean, you're such a nice guy, and that's really, it's lovely. When we're smart, we're educated, we're beautiful, but to really just have that heart is just like, I mean, that is just the gravy, right? So yeah, talk to us a little bit about that.
The Cuban mission trip really changed a lot for me because it really got me to see people in need, people that they're happy and they don't even have what I have at home. It made me realize really appreciate what I had, what I have, and what I intend to get, and be humble in it, in what I try to achieve. So, like that experience really showed me that like these people have so little, but are yet so grateful.
I appreciate.
They appreciate every little thing.
Yeah.
On that trip, I actually gave away my favorite jersey. It was it's my first Tigers football club jersey that I actually bought for myself. At little time, you buy your jersey before before the season starts. I bought this jersey, and that jersey in that time, I would have fight anyone if they pull. When they like to pull your jersey and try to rip it, I would have fight anyone in that time
Yeah.
period. So that's how much I thought of that jersey.
Right.
But on that trip, for some reason, I felt I was sitting next to my translator, and for some reason, he seemed to have been having like a rough time. And that was recently, right after I went through my little rough time, and I said, I'm gonna give you this jersey because when I wore this, I felt like a warrior, and
Wow.
I'd like to pass that on to you,
That's
whether
nice.
you wear it or not. But it's a symbol of my friendship and my belief in you, and that I really did a lot for me. I think that trip did more for me than I did for it. So
Right. So what is like what's the whole purpose of the trip? Explain that to us a little bit.
So the Cayman Islands Baptist Church, we have relationship with multiple churches in Cuba. Um, and we basically we go over there. We take like school supplies, clothing. We do sports ministry. So I got to play the sport I love for God, and it made me like really enjoy the game even more because like I played football for myself my whole life, but I never played it for God
Yeah.
until that point. And I think for a short time, it kind of took the competitiveness from me, which I'm glad I got it
And
back.
gave you the
But
fun.
yeah, it was always fun for me,
Okay.
but it took away that like I have to win, I have to win. It was more like do it for God, and I think that has helped me in my
So what's
career as
playing
well.
for God versus playing for yourself? Explain that.
When you're playing for God, everything seems to flow. You know that even if you make a mistake, you can correct it. You're not gonna get upset and be critical of another and blame someone for why this occurred. But you're more like, okay, let's move on, let's do it, let's get it, let's work towards doing something better. I just feel that's the way I saw it in that time. But yeah, I really just played and I had such good fun
Yeah.
playing the sport that I love.
And so is it kind of how long is the trip? Like how many days?
It's only a week. It's only
Okay.
a week.
So
So
it's kind of like a summer camp or some type of thing
yeah,
like that.
yes, yes,
So
ma'am.
how many children did you interact with?
Many, many, many. Each church we went to, so we went to like five different churches, and each church they have such a strong, vibrant youth program that it's like you're dealing with 40 kids every church.
Okay.
So
And I think the Baptist church collects like stuff to send over,
yes,
right? To give to
yes,
them as well, like clothing, toys, different things, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're pretty happy to see the
For
group
sure.
that comes over. How many people are generally in that group?
In our group, so because we partner with the churches, they give us translators to go with us everywhere.
But
So
how many are coming from Cayman?
from Cayman, it's about let's say 15 to 20 people,
Okay.
20 of us to go.
And so
And
you go together as a group to each church.
yes,
So you don't break up. So all 15 or
yes,
20 go to each church.
yes,
So that
ma'am.
must be very rewarding.
Oh,
That must be a
absolutely,
wonderful feeling.
absolutely,
Yeah. It's
absolutely.
almost like a missionary trip.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
And where do you live? Where do you stay during that time?
We stay. We're in Havana. We're in Havana in that time, but we're like in this like hostel that these people
Okay.
they host us,
Okay.
and you're living with people that not necessarily believe in God,
Okay.
so you get opportunities to talk, to share your
Oh,
story, share
nice.
your
Okay.
testimony. So
Do you speak Spanish?
I it was actually my first language, but I no
Okay.
longer I'm not fluent in it anymore. I
Okay.
understand more than I speak.
So you did speak Spanish first as
Yes,
a little child.
yeah. My dad couldn't speak Spanish,
Okay.
and I only could have spoke Spanish when I was a child, so he cut that off. And
Okay.
he's probably listening to me. What you got to tell everyone that story?
I wonder if it is something that can come back with you though.
You know,
Do you understand a lot when you hear?
Miss
Yeah.
Catherine, I'm actually surprised. I had to be God because I was on a trip, and at one point my translator was nowhere to be found, and I needed to communicate to
You
some
showing off
people.
the jersey somewhere, taking
Maybe
pictures.
so, maybe so. But he was nowhere to be found, and
Right.
I found myself speaking Spanish.
There
Then
you
them
go.
understanding me, I understanding them, and it was like it had to be
Because
God.
you spoke Spanish at first in your
Yeah,
life.
but that was a
Come on.
long time ago.
It doesn't matter. Come on. That's gonna say, you always know how to ride a bike and you get
Survival
like
mode.
yeah, yeah.
Survival mode.
But the reason I'm asking you all that is because I'm also seeing in your bio that you sent over that your true inspiration for the future is to one day own your own sports academy for troubled teens. And you grew up in a disciplined home with two loving parents, which you feel is what is giving you the grounding for such successes at this, especially at this age that you are now. It's of extreme importance to give back and share with young generation coming up. You want the young generation coming up to hear the message that they can do great. You're more passionate about mentoring young students than you are even about the restaurant business. And that says a lot because you love the restaurant business.
I
So
do.
yeah, so I wanted to share that, that part of you as well, because it really is so important to, to understand that you being successful means so much more when you're able to help other people, when you're able
Give
to,
back.
yeah, when you're able to show other people how they can also be successful. So it's not like something you're holding to your chest, or as the little song we used to sing as children, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine, right? So
Let it
that's kind of what
shine.
it feels like, for sure. So yeah, so you're a member of a church, you've got mission trips in, you're a restaurant manager, you're working on your bachelor's degree, you're, you're footballing, you're part of a club. Like, how do you find the time for all of this stuff?
It's not easy. Like there was a time where I barely used to see my friends. There was a time where I barely used to see my ex, my
Yeah,
girl at the time. So
probably
your
why she's an
relationship
ex.
possibly it could be, but you do make sacrifices for when you want to achieve something, and
Yeah,
that is something a lot of us don't realize. There were
yeah,
certain aspects of my life that were put on the side at the time
yeah,
because of my vision, what I wanted to achieve,
yeah,
and that may sound like drastic to some, but when you have that fire that you want to do something, you're doing an injustice by not doing it.
yeah. But what have you learned though, along the way?
I feel like I've learned that if you really want to make time, you would make time,
Yeah,
And this is something I have to do. I have to be you have to be more on top of it. Like you can't just let your schedule be planned for you. You have to actually plan. I was not a person that was good at planning at first. I was a person that I am a very spontaneous person. I like to just say, okay, let's go do this. Yeah, let's go run point. Let's go 7 miles. I'm like that.
yeah,
But now I have to. I realize that okay, you know what? I have this gap in my schedule. Let me. I know I'm gonna have some space in my schedule next week on a Thursday evening. Let me go spend some time with my nephews.
yeah,
Let me go take them to play football. Let me go watch a movie with them. Let
yeah,
me call my aunt, see how she's doing. If she'd like to go for dinner or
yeah.
something like that. Do something with my mom in a lunch break or something.
Right.
I have to consciously make time with my family
Yeah.
because hospitality is unsocial hours. When you are socializing, I'm working, so
Right.
I have to make make up for that.
Yeah, and you're watching everybody socializing, and you're
Exactly.
at work, and everybody's happy there with their families, and so you have to then find how to do that for your own life, right?
Exactly.
So I imagine the last place you want to eat dinner is at the grandmother's house when you're off. I mean, the food's delicious,
It is.
I'm
It
sure, but just
is.
because it's your job.
Yeah, I keep a little distance every now. I actually have to go see what other restaurants are offering as well.
Yeah,
Keep sharp
of
so we can
course.
do better
So
and
you can go back and say, hey, you know what I
yeah, we
saw over
can we can
there?
improve this.
Okay,
Still things like that,
that's
but
good.
not a competitive thing. More just like what
Yeah.
can we learn from each other.
Exactly. How many siblings do you have, or are you an only child?
I'd like to say I have two siblings,
Okay.
my sister and I have a brother.
So are they older, younger? Are you the middle kid?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
I'm the baby.
Okay, the baby. How much older are they than you?
Sister is 32, brother is 26.
Oh, okay. So not too much older. So you grew up with them,
Yeah,
yeah? All right. So
yeah.
are you spoiled?
No, no,
No,
neither,
of course the
neither one.
baby's gonna say no. I want to hear from them.
Well, my sister probably say I'm spoiled, but
Okay, your sister's the oldest one.
she's the oldest, yes.
Okay, all right. And so, but you're very close to your parents still,
Very
yeah?
close, very close, yeah.
Okay.
Owe a
And
lot to them. Thank you, mom. Thank you, dad.
yeah, and that'll be my question then. Who inspired you? Who inspired you? Who you really can say I got a lot of inspiration from this person. Could be somebody that in your family, or it could be somebody famous, whoever.
It's so many different people because I'd like to say that I get a little inspiration from anyone that is just doing good. Just doing a little bit more than they should,
Yeah,
or a little bit more than they could. Not should, a little bit more than they could.
yeah,
And I love my mother for that. She is a very loving person. She always is trying to see how she can help one another, even if she doesn't have she's gonna try to find a way to give you, and I love that from her. My father has been talking with me and coaching me my whole life, whether it's football or life in general. So
Yeah.
those little talks have been amazing for me growing up, and I think it's what every child should have, you know,
Yeah.
if in a perfect world.
Yeah.
And I like to say they're my true inspirations,
Inspiration. Yeah.
inspirations, and
As parents should be.
yeah,
It's great. Yeah.
yeah,
It sounds like, a couple of things I get from you is that hard work definitely pays off, which I can understand. It seems also, if you want something, you plan it and you go for it and you don't give up. And you figure out how to make something work for you. That's what it sounds. A couple of things that I'm hearing from you. That you have a lot on your plate, but you're figuring out how to make it work. You've set goals, you've achieved them even as a young person, and you didn't give up when you got that thing that happened to you. You could have very well given up, but you said nope. I'm pushing, and then you changed direction. You got back to where you wanted to get back to, and then you said, you know what? Hey, I didn't want this. I want something else, and here's what I'm going to do. And I think that those are some of the principles that we want, everybody to kind of adopt. And for this show, really to kind of inspire people to just go for it, no matter what age or what stage you are in your life, that you can really go for it, and and you can achieve great things, and you can live the life that you create the life that you want and live it and be happy in it. And I think like, when we're able to showcase young humanity like yourself and really just say, congratulations, we're so proud of you, we're so proud of your achievements and for, blazing a trail and showing the rest of the world, the rest of Hunan, that Humanians are out there and they're doing it. I mean, you're 25 years old and you're a restaurant manager, and you're a restaurant manager at the Grand Old House. That's a big deal. I wish I could play the song. It's a big deal, it's very important. Because I think it is. It's a huge deal. That is no simple restaurant. We go there, I mean, that is, impeccable. I mean, you want service to be top notch because you're paying top notch
yes,
dollars.
indeed.
You have top notch cuisine, and so that's what you're expecting. And for you to be kind of running that, very very proud of you, very very proud of you.
Thank
So
you again.
hats off to you for that. Now I want to go through a couple of little quotes and tell me what you think about this. All right, so find one thing that makes you wiser every day. What do you think of that?
Find one thing that makes me wiser every day.
Yeah. I think that's a good advice to find one thing every day to like learn something new every day.
Oh, apologies. I thought you were asking me to find one thing. Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. Sorry, misunderstanding
No, it's
there.
okay.
But yes, yes, look for inspiration everywhere, and look for wisdom because it'll help guide you.
Yeah, definitely. Don't follow the mob.
Agreed.
Ain't that
Yeah,
the truth?
it's the truth. If I followed them all, I wouldn't stay in hospitality.
Where would you be?
Who knows? Like, I would have been working in a bank.
Yeah. All right.
I was the trend. That was it's where we all want to be
Yeah, it's
in
true.
history.
It's so true. That is the truth. Be strict with yourself and tolerant with others. What do you think of that?
That is actually a very good advice because you need to keep yourself in check. Be disciplined with yourself and understand being tolerant with others is simply having good high EQ. If you understand empathizing with people is a very good skill, and it's something I had to learn in this industry. Understanding why you are upset that we poured still instead of sparkling for you. Understanding something simple, but it it, it makes a difference with people.
Absolutely. All right. What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good
That's
one.
a good
It's
one
about
because
community,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
not just about you. It's what you do affects everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And you have to be good to your community in order for things to be good for you. It can't just be about yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And forgive, forgive, forgive.
Yes. Yes. You have to. You have to. It doesn't make no sense to live with a live grudgefully.
Yep, absolutely. Don't judge other people.
That I like that. I could actually share you a story with that.
Okay?
So my father recently shared with me this story about this father basically teaching his four sons something. So each son had to go see a pear tree at its different season.
Okay.
The youngest son saw the pear tree in the spring, so what he would see is a vibrant and blossoming tree. The son that went in the summer would have saw a tree that's full of fruit.
Right.
The son that saw it in the fall would see the leaves falling, and then the oldest son would see the tree when winter came, and it would be a hard, cold tree. So four different perspectives, four different seasons, and you shouldn't judge someone based on the season they're currently in because it can change. It will change.
Right. And you don't know what season they're in.
Exactly.
That's great. That is true. And so when you run the risk of doing that when you judge people because you really don't know. Yeah, and it's even like with customer service, like I teach customer service and I love that, right? About how you treat a customer. You don't really know what happened to this customer before they came in. So if they're mad or if they're upset or whatever, like you challenge yourself to make them feel better because you really don't know what happened. It's like in seasons. Thank you so much, Lauren. I always try to put some of these little quotes out to the guests to just have their thoughts on it, and I really appreciate you kind of playing along. But we want to just tell you congrats, really, for your achievement. We're very, very proud of you. We're proud that you are a young Caymanian and you're out there doing great things and you're making a difference. And we look forward to your journey. We look forward to what else you got up your sleeve. You got a lot so far, 25 years old, and you're, the restaurant manager over at the Grand Old House. And everybody should come over and visit at some point, book a dinner or something to go see Lauren. And hail him up and tell him that you heard his story on the Straight Talk Private 5 show for sure. You can find him at Grand Old House. His name is Lawrence Bodden. Thank you so much once again for joining me and sharing yourself with the audience. We really appreciate that.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you all so much for tuning in as usual. This is our last show until September 6th, so we shall talk with you then. Of course, if you have any ideas or any young people that you'd like me to highlight or anything, any information, whatever it is, you definitely, just get in contact with us and we will be back at it in September. You guys have a great evening. Take care of yourselves and have a safe summer and enjoy your family and, strive for excellence. Take care. This is Counselor Tyson and this is the Straight Talk Drive 5 show, Thursday, Successful No. 1, saying have an amazing, amazing summer.
Connecting culture.